WCBI News at 10 starts now.
Mississippi's heartbeat abortion ban is being challenged in federal court. Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. This is a day that lawmakers knew would come. All of the debates at the Capitol included the likely legal challenge, and it all comes as the state continues to appeal the decision of the last abortion ban. Courtney Jackson has the very latest.
This same courthouse, the same judge. Last year, the law in question was a 15-week abortion ban. This year, a more restrictive law was passed.
It is law.
The law prohibits most abortions once a fetal heartbeat is detected. Judge Carlton Reeves said in the courtroom that the legislature's decision to pass a more restrictive ban than what the court struck down previously, quote, sure smacks of defiance to this court. The Center for Reproductive Rights is representing the state's lone abortion clinic.
We're asking the court to block the law before it takes effect on July 1st because it would essentially extinguish the right to abortion in this state because it bans abortion before many people even know they're pregnant. It's essentially a total ban on abortion.
The state's attorney argued the new law is not an outright ban on abortion, but a limitation on when the procedure can be done, while the plaintiffs say it is unconstitutional and in defiance of the Supreme Court precedent. Governor Bryant knew a repeat court case was likely on the day he signed the bill.
If they do not believe in the sanctity of life, those that are in organizations like Planned Parenthood, we will have to fight that fight. But it is worth it.
This state has one remaining abortion clinic, and the director says these developments have sparked more questions from patients.
They've been calling thinking that we're closed, trying to make sure that we are still open and seeing patients, and we are just reassuring them that we are, and that we are going to be fighting for this. And so that's basically what they're calling every day about.
Courtney Jackson, WCBI News.
That hearing lasted nearly 2 hours this morning. Judge Reeves says he plans to issue a decision soon, but did not say exactly when. The hiring freeze in the Friendly City doesn't stop the swearing in of a new firefighter. During tonight's City Council meeting, the newest member, he was officially sworn in for duty. Mayor Smith says that's because the fire department is budgeted for 70 firefighters and only had 69 before today. Also during tonight's meeting, the council approved the submission of AIP grant application for the runway crack seal project for the Columbus-Lowndes County Airport. The future of the J.L. King Center is in limbo, and its leaders are now asking the city of Starkville for help. Program manager Latella Harris went before the Board of Aldermen tonight asking for funding. Now, the center has been funded by the Emerson Family Center programs, and due to budget cuts, it's no longer able to support the J.L. King Center. J.L. King Center offers adult education classes and after-school programs. It has a staff of 3 and operates on an annual budget of $60 grand. Through private fundraising, the J.L. King Center has raised about $25,000. They're hoping the city can help keep the doors open. Harris says if they don't secure funding soon, the center will close at the end of July.
That side of town is pretty much landlocked. We have no gas stations on that side of town. There aren't any restaurants on that side of town. Everything is pretty much on 82.
Harris says roughly 50 people come to the center each day. Time now to get a first look at our forecast. We'll send things over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. Hey Keith, happy Tuesday.
Scott, happy Tuesday to you. Tons of sunshine out there today. This is our time lapse from Durham's Pharmacy in Vernon. Just a few clouds there at sunset, but really no worries today. Just a few isolated showers not too long ago, but those are long gone. We've got temperatures still around 80 in Tupelo. Most of us now cooling down into the 70s. A mild and muggy night for us. Most spots down into the upper 60s. Back up to around 90 tomorrow. That's the next 24 hours in Columbus, but everywhere else, same story. Partly cloudy. Maybe, just maybe a stray shower. Your full forecast coming up.
Business and community leaders from 17 counties throughout northeast Mississippi heard about strengths and weaknesses of the area during an annual meeting sponsored by the Create Foundation. The State of the Region meeting featured presentations by experts in manufacturing and education. One of the most pressing needs for the region and the state is workforce development. Experts say programs like the Toyota Wellspring Education Fund are vital when it comes to helping students in elementary through high school think about and prepare for a career. Dr. Christy Lussey is president of the Toyota Wellspring Fund and says students must be exposed to the wide variety of educational options available after high school.
Most students, when they leave high school, don't understand that there are many options. They can receive a certificate, they can have a few college hours, they can go to community college or even higher ed. But students need to understand there are various options beyond a four-year college degree to be successful, have a living wage, and stay in their community and contribute to our local economy.
Experts at State of the Region also emphasized the importance of community colleges for workforce development and training. As trade tensions between the United States and China heat up, furniture manufacturers across North Mississippi are looking at how they may be impacted. Raleigh Martin talks with business leaders about the president's recent decision to raise tariffs on Chinese-made goods.
For nearly 50 years, Hassel Franklin has been at the forefront of furniture manufacturing in Northeast Mississippi, weathering both good and challenging economic times. The recent trade war between the U.S. and China is making an impact on Franklin's business.
There are always challenges, and these tariffs, obviously our intellectual properties have been kind of stolen by China for all these years, and that needs to be changed. And obviously with the tariffs and our industry, it brings on great issues.
President Donald Trump followed through on a threat to raise tariffs on Chinese-made goods to 25%. And while more than 1,000 workers make furniture at Franklin's Houston plant, some of the raw materials come from China. Those materials will now cost more.
Everyone's impacted with it. Normally when you go for an issue and you strive to solve that issue, there's some pain along the way. And certainly there's pain along the way, but in the end, this is what we need to be doing.
Mississippi Manufacturers Association President Jay Moon is an advocate for industry in the Magnolia State. He says furniture makers are bracing for short-term impacts, but also see the bigger picture.
It's a course correction, and what we've asked the administration to do is we understand how we need to get rogue players like China to follow trade laws and not violate those, not steal intellectual property rights, that kind of thing. So we know it's necessary to make a course correction, but we simply ask them, get it done, get to the table, get it negotiated, and then let's move on.
Moon says manufacturers are also looking for other non-Chinese sources of raw materials until trade talks resume. Allie Martin, WCBI News.
Tariffs were increased from 10 to 25% on Chinese exports.
Pretty quiet tonight. Warm temperatures, upper 60s to around 70. Some clouds will tend to fill back in later on tonight, but no real issues tonight. As we look ahead, yes, there's an early season heat wave about ready to get going. More heat, more humidity. We'll talk about it coming up next.
Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Lots of sunshine this evening. This is our time-lapse network from Columbus, Tupelo, Vernon at Durham's Pharmacy. We showed you that a few minutes ago, Louisville, Mississippi, too. You can see the sunshine, some of those passing clouds. Yes, we did see a few isolated showers earlier this evening, but a great sunset. Now we are looking at Arkansas, northeastern Arkansas. It looks like storms and showers are coming our way. They are running into a force field that will keep the rain at bay for us for a while. This is a very big storm system, though. Look at that severe weather, strong storms here across the high plains, going as far east as Arkansas, swirling up here across the northern plains, snow flying out there in South Dakota and Wyoming. Over the last 2 days, over 50, nearly 60 reports of tornadoes here all the way across the high plains. Now, typically, that's where tornadoes should be occurring this time of year. Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. We are shifting that tornado threat for the most part back to the northwest. That's what goes on in mid to late May. We get out of our active severe weather season and into the summer-like weather pattern, and that's what we are basically going into right now. So tonight, as of right now, we are clear, but I think we'll see some lower clouds trying to redevelop, so we may see an overcast start to our Wednesday. Don't fret, though, because we'll break up some of those clouds if we do see them, and we'll see partly cloudy conditions by the afternoon, but we just may see a shower storm bubble on up during the heating of the day. Whatever does develop will go away, and then the heat is on starting Thursday. Fairly quiet weather, benign weather, hot weather here. That will carry us into the holiday weekend. High pressure, big and bold, and this thing is setting up shop, and it's really going to be entrenched all weekend long. So we are looking at temperatures well into the 90s for your Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Anywhere across the southeast for your Memorial Day weekend, it's going to be a scorcher, but perfect weather to be down there at the beach and also in your backyard pool. 70s and low 80s still at this hour. Worst case scenario tonight, upper 60s to around 70, as we mentioned, well into the 80s to around 90 tomorrow with a 20% chance for a pop-up shower storm. Winds are still a bit breezy out there now from the south. Generally about 10 to 15, maybe up to 20 tomorrow too. So no major changes here to the air mass. And if anything, temperatures will be going on up. So there you go, back up to about 91 Thursday, 93 Friday, mid-90s for your weekend, mid-90s into early next week as well. Scott?
Some area youngsters are gearing up for a summer full of robots, music, and virtual reality. Don't tell the kids, there may be a few lessons in there too. We explain next.
You're watching WCBI News at 10 with Scott Martin.
Welcome back, everyone. Summer is almost here, and that means kids everywhere are packing up their books and preparing for fun in the sun. But just because it's summer doesn't mean learning has to stop. A Choctaw County Elementary School is looking to keep students growing. Riley Livingston has the story.
School is coming to a close, and students and teachers are getting ready for a well-deserved break. But at Ware Elementary School, the learning experiences are just beginning.
We're also offering a STEM literacy-based summer program for our students.
It's full of hands-on activities, and teachers like Julie Chase hope that makes the ideas stick.
By bringing this in, we're creating some fun experiences for the students to continue learning, even though they're not feeling like they're learning. You're learning about angles, you're learning about weight, you're learning about buoyancy, but you're doing it with hands-on material.
They're hoping to slow what's known as the summer slide. When school starts back, teachers often find themselves recapping lessons from the year before.
It's all about keeping the students' momentum moving forward and just enhancing that learning experience and enriching it, moving them forward.
Many bigger towns and cities have programs like this every summer. So for a small town like Ware, Chase says it's a big deal.
Sometimes we're overlooked because we're small, but great things come from small communities. We may be a small community, but we want these students to know it doesn't matter how small you are. You can do big things too.
Ware Elementary will also be hosting a summer food service program for all students in Choctaw County in June. Chase says the school wants to give back to their community. It has been nearly a year since the Noxubee County School District was taken over by the state. There were several financial and academic issues to address in that district. Rodriguez Brodnax was appointed as the newest interim superintendent. Brodnax says the first year has been challenging. The senior class at Noxubee County High School was probably impacted the most as the upheaval began right as they started their final school year, but those seniors say they accepted that challenge.
Curriculum, if it would have changed, it did a little bit, but I was not scared of that. I faced things head on, even if I am scared, and I accomplished my goals. It may seem hard during the time, but your mind has to be set on the end goal. Well, at the end, I'll be the salutatorian of my class. At the end, my GPA will be high. At the end, I'll be done with college. You know, you have to look at the end goal.
Noxubee County graduates this Friday night at EMCC in Saguba. The Rebels are on to the next one with an opening day win to the SEC tournament. Those highlights from Hoover coming up next in sports.
WCBI Sports with Tom Ebel.
Mississippi State continuing to invest in its head football coach. Joe Moorhead and MSU agreeing to a 4-year contract extension through 2022. Mississippi law prevents public officials from having contracts more than 4 years, so this being the additional contract. But Moorhead does receive a raise, earning an additional $1.8 million over the course of the 4 years. Moorhead led Mississippi State to an 8-5 record in year 1, becoming the first Bulldogs head coach to win 8 games in his first season since 1939. The SEC tournament underway in Hoover. Ole Miss set to defend its SEC tournament crown, taking on Missouri. Tigers get on the board first. Austin James with an RBI base hit in the second, but that'd be about it for Missouri. A masterful day on the mound for Will Etheridge. He'd go 7 innings strong. The Rebels would get what they need in the 5th. Thomas Dellard belts one to left field. That's going to bring Jacob Adams home for the score. Tie ball game in the 5th. But then Cole Bizabowski, 2 batters later, gives Ole Miss the lead. Thomas Dillard scores. It's 2-1. It'd be that way for about the rest of the way until the Rebels bring in their new closer, Ryan Olenek. The man does it all for Ole Miss, painting the corner for the strikeout to end the ball game. Back-to-back saves for Olenek, and the Rebels win 2-1. They advance to face 2-seed Arkansas on Wednesday. So the SEC tournament is underway. A recap of the day today: Texas A&M started the day off with a bang, walking off Florida in 10 innings, 8-7. Ole Miss, they defeat Missouri. Auburn defeats Tennessee 5-3. The Tigers will advance to take on Vanderbilt. And then Mississippi State still waiting in the wings to find out who they'll be facing tomorrow. This game is in the bottom of the 3rd. South Carolina leading LSU 5-3. That game's on the SEC network. The winner advancing to take on Mississippi State, the final game of the day in Hoover tomorrow. So make sure you go to the store early tomorrow and pick up your midnight snacks, as it could be a late night of baseball on Wednesday night. Ole Miss softball prepares for the 2nd Super Regional appearance in program history, off to the desert to face the 6th overall seed, Arizona. The Rebels are familiar with going out west for a Super, traveling to UCLA in 2017. Head coach Mike Smith says the high from the weekend will need to come down, as simply being there isn't enough for Ole Miss softball.
Before our practice today, I said, look, you know, has the excitement and of this weekend worn off? And of course they're like, no, not yet. And I'm like, well, we need to now focus on what our goal is. And we're not just happy to get to Arizona. We're not happy to play U of A and to get to a Super Regional. We've been to a Super Regional before. We were close, beating UCLA. And now the next step in this program and our culture is to take that next step and get to Oklahoma City.
We've seen the best pitchers that the SEC has to face, and, we did a pretty good job of winning every series except for Georgia. So I feel like we've been successful also off of the best pitching also, and so I feel like that's a good confidence booster.
We've played so many great teams that have offenses like that. We faced the top hitters in the nation, and I think that's really prepared us to continue our season throughout past Arizona.
The Rebels begin the Super Regional against Arizona on Friday. Game 1 coming at 7 p.m. on ESPNU. Then the Rebels getting national spotlight in Game 2, 8 p.m. first pitch on ESPN2. Changes coming to Hamilton football. Former head football coach Josh Beatty has stepped down after 4 seasons after taking an assistant position at Nettleton. Hamilton has hired former Neshoba Central offensive coordinator Wade Pierce as its newest head coach. Pierce spent 7 seasons with the Rockets, leading the offense to one of its best seasons in nearly 2 decades in 2018. The Daily Journal was the first to report. 2 members of Oklahoma's 2018 championship team will be looking for another title at the next level. The Chieftains' Jacorius Stanfield signing with Pearl River and Jamal Moore signing with Kahoma to continue their basketball careers. The 2 were dynamic for Oklahoma this year, leading the Chieftains to a state championship appearance, while the 2 combined for 40 points per game and 16 rebounds per game. To hear more from the 2 on their big day, go over to our website, WCBI.com. That's it for sports. Last of your weather is next.
A longtime Tupelo City Councilwoman is honored for her years of service to the community Nitty Davis was named this year's winner of the Jack Reed Senior Community Leadership Award at today's annual State of the Region meeting. Davis was recognized for her many contributions, including helping to revitalize her ward, organizing the community's Forward Festival, and advocating for civil rights. The lifelong Tupelo resident says she's surprised and honored.
I work very hard to help people in the community, and I don't work to get any kind of rewards for it, but this is really a great award for me to be able to know that people respect my leadership and what I can do to make the city of Tupelo and help people in this community.
Now, Davis is in her 5th term on the Tupelo City Council. We hear from her quite a bit, so congratulations on that achievement.
Well, Scott, it's getting hot.
Hot, hot, hot.
Hot and hotter. We are looking at mid-90s by the weekend. Still a slim, slight chance, whatever you want to say, for a little bit of rain tomorrow. That's it for a while. So,
hey, and a nice Memorial Day weekend, though.
We are getting a nice weekend for a change, and it will team up just for the holiday.
I don't know. Do we know what a nice weekend is anymore?
Very rare.
All right. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.